And welcome to another live. And I have another YouTuber from Ireland on, and he's going to introduce himself.
Hey all, I'm Brendan. Views on brews. Hey Thomas, how you doing? All right.
I'm grand. Link to his channel should be pinned in the comments in the top if anyone's watching.
Very good.
How did your channel start? Easy question or hard question?
It started because of this ridiculous global pandemic. Well, not ridiculous, but annoying global pandemic. And I don't like being bored. So I'm a chef, and where I work is in top of it's in a busy area in a shopping centre in a restaurant. And the problem with opening up or doing any kind of takeaway service in there is there's just too many people going in and out. So I spent 6 months of it sat at home on the pandemic unemployment payment, which was probably the weirdest thing ever. You get bored. Like there's only so much house painting you can do. So I like reviewing beers. I've been doing a beer column for a local newspaper for 3 years. So I always thought maybe a podcast or a YouTube or something just to do something else in the beer world. You know, if you're not going to be a brewer, a commercial brewer, then you might as well do something to keep involved with it. So I've always wanted to do something in and around it, and I was off all that time. So I said, here, why don't I give the YouTube thing a go and just see what happens, you know? And really, I was kind of like not really fussed what happened one way or the other, but just wanted to try it out, see what happens. So right in the middle of the pandemic, that's exactly what I did, which was about, I think it was it would have been in May, late May, late May or something like that. I just said to myself, here, just do a couple of videos and see what they're like. I'd done a couple of ones on Facebook, and I enjoyed just whenever I found a random beer that I really liked. Like I remember I did Coca Vesa from Stone Brewing. You just find a really strange beer and you just like wanted to share your opinions on it, but it's very hard to do that over Facebook. So I was doing Facebook Live once or twice every time I found a weird beer, and I just thought, I don't mind talking in front of a camera. I'm quite happy with it. I find it easy, so why not make a channel? So I did.
Would you be influenced by any of the other kind of beer tubers? I know some people don't like to be referred to that as that, but is anyone like Simon or Scott and Wanda or someone named Mark? And
I've seen all of the beer tubers. I've seen all of them. I mean, some that I can't even remember. I looked at so many different ones. I even looked at a couple of American ones as well. But you only really pay much attention when you've actually started your own channel, as I'm sure you know yourself. Hey, Matt. So for me, a lot of what I did was just talking to the camera myself, and I think you'll know yourself. You learn a lot as you go, but obviously you're going to watch other beer tubers and see what they all come at it from different angles. They've all got different perspectives on how they want to review beers. Some go into huge amounts of detail. Some just sit there and it's more about the person than it is the beer, or a combination of both. Some are just having a laugh, and then you've got likes of Simon's channel, Real Ale, and he's probably one of the very first ones out there, I guess. So obviously I'd seen his plenty of times in the past, not really looking at beer tubers, just looking at beers. I might have flicked through YouTube and seen one of his beers come up.
He's likely to come up, I think, especially older beers if you're looking for him.
Yeah.
Simon. I think your channel is completely different, especially the long ones. You're more in depth, and it's more of a knowledge transfer. I think you're like Rampant Lion. It's more of a conversation. more of a chat. You know, I think there's something different about your channel, personally. If that doesn't offend you, or, you know.
No, not at all. No, I purposely have chopped and changed throughout the time that it's been on, because I want to find what I enjoy and what I think is content. You know, what is, you know, postable content. So I've been trying to work out, you know, what do I want to talk about. So, you know, I might do, like, you'll have probably seen I've done like really fast videos, and then 10 to 15 minute videos, and then I've gone into these new sort of idea of delving deeper into something, and it's always something that I'm interested in. So I can presume that if I'm interested to learn something about beer and I already know about beer, then if I take the time to research it beforehand and then get myself together and then do a proper video about it, then I'm hoping that that sort of transfers to being something that people would want to watch, you know, because, you know, you can get lost in a sea of beer tubers really quickly. So yeah, like you're saying, my channel is, I don't know really what I'm trying to be, but I'm trying to make it something that I feel is interesting. So that's kind of what I'm aiming for, but I don't really know, and it might change again over the next 12 months. I might suddenly say, you know what, this isn't working, or that is, or I prefer doing this, or like you're doing now, you're doing these live streams, and like this is the fourth one, I think it is, isn't it? So I was watching your one last week, I think with John. Is it John?
No, it's John was last week. John was the first one.
John was the first one, so I watched that one, and I just found it interesting. I thought that was really, you know, talking to people, communicating, and having a conversation about beer and just about YouTube as well. Yeah. You know, that kind of thing is interesting. So, yeah.
Yeah, especially the one-on-one. Some of them, I think some, I'm not putting it down, but some can be a bit of a conversation. You can get lost. I think if there's more than two people or three, I feel if I went into some of them, and I feel I'm lost if there's more. Do you know what your top video is by views? Do you know what your top video is by views?
On my video?
Your channel, yeah. What's your top video, is it?
It's actually a homebrewing video.
Yeah.
It's how to improve your homebrew instantly, I think it's called, or something like that. But it's about fermentation, and I think it's every single month it's top of the channel. Like, it's ridiculous. I don't know. It's got about 3,000 views or something. I actually haven't looked in a long time, so I'm not really sure how many views it's got.
I think I have 4,500. I could be wrong.
How many views? Really?
I think a couple. Yeah, I have a lot of figures there. I just randomly write down these things. Do you know how many views totally altogether?
No.
This is your channel. You should know these things. Okay, I have 13,300. We say.
Yeah.
Is that bad? Do you think
I don't know. I've no idea. I honestly don't know what's good or bad. I just. Yeah.
Did you have any goals then? Subscribers, channels.
Yeah, I mean, I think I struggle with this a little bit because I don't want to be like disingenuous or a lot of people start a YouTube channel with the express idea of getting tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of subscribers and making a bit of a side living off of YouTube. Now that all sounds really good, but when you're talking about craft beer, you're not going to get those kinds of views. But no. In the same breath, I also would, like for instance, when I reached 20 subscribers, for me, I was delighted. I was absolutely beside myself that people had hit that subscribe button. You're thinking someone's actually gone and hit that subscribe button. Now, most of them probably in my family. I don't know. Like, I don't actually know who's subscribed to my channel because I didn't look. But obviously I get emails to say, but I don't keep tab.
You don't look at a list of people.
No, I've not looked at a list of people. I think I know that you can do it on the laptop, but I do everything off of my mobile phone. Having said that, I'm borrowing my wife's laptop right now. But so the channel, what I want to do is, like yourself, anything that you do, the more you do it, the more you realize you've got a whole bunch of stuff to learn about what it is you're doing. So if it's a hobby like home brewing or whatever, you get into it, and then all of a sudden you realize it's actually quite a bit harder than I thought. So it would be easy for me to just sit here, show you this beer, like stream like we are now, and just bang and just load it, and whatever I say goes up, like, and that's it. But what I've tried to do, well, it probably ties into your last question as well, is I've tried to think about what does the person watching this video actually want to see from me as a person? What do they come to this video for? What's the reason? So obviously it's about the beer or whatever I'm doing the video about. So I want to try and focus on the content, and then if subscribers come along as a result of that, then it goes kind of hand in hand. So I'm not really worried about the subscribers. I'm more, although I am, of course I am, but
people say everyone likes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, of course, yeah. But obviously, you want as many subscribers as you can get. But I'm really focused on trying to improve the quality of the content first, and then if I get subscribers from it, brilliant. And if I don't, hey, in a year's time, if maybe this channel doesn't work out, but I mean, I'm just enjoying it. Every time I turn on the camera, I look in the lens. What I do is I learn myself, because I'm forced to evaluate a beer as well as I possibly can, and honestly as well. And it is difficult, to be honest, sometimes, because every now and again you get a beer and you think, wow, and you might know the brewer, or but you've got a duty to be constructive in your criticism. But yeah, obviously I'd love to have 10 million subscribers. Not going to happen. If I made a Fortnite channel, I'd probably have 10,000 subscribers in one day. And that's just the nature of what we're doing. But having said that, I do think there's a lot more focus on craft beer now in Ireland, and of course across the pond in the UK. So I feel like it's like sort of goes under the radar a little bit. So yeah, focus on the content, the quality of the content, and then if people subscribe to the channel, fair enough. And if they don't, that's fine. But I'm not going to lie. I'd love to have loads of subscribers. I mean, I'm close to 300 now, and rather than looking at how many views I've got, I am more focused on, I know I've got 280, I think, or 281 subscribers. So I'm obviously more, people won't subscribe if they don't like what you're doing. So
you think your videos would be more relevant, in, say, 6 months' time, because they're more about beer and content? Then, say, a beer here could be changed in 6 months if it's not working out. It could taste different. If there's more knowledge, especially your long videos.
I think that the long videos, when I say that I'm going to do a delve deeper into episode, which is the new thing that I'm trying out, the first thing is I spend multiple tens of hours looking up what I'm about to talk about, because being a chef, when you cook something, you like to know precisely what you're doing, how you're doing it, the method, the technology involved. And I feel stupid if I don't know what I'm talking about, and that works in the same in the kitchen, and it also works in the same when I'm talking about beer online. So as my palate evolves over the next 6 months to 12 months, I'm going to get better at it. But I'm forcing myself to put in like multiple hours of research for a lot of these videos. Now, the thing that really lets me down is the videos themselves, because I'm doing it all off a phone. So it's, you know, you could argue.
I do all my, I don't edit my videos. So I just do it on my phone. That's it. Look, if someone wants to watch and but so do you understand YouTube now, or do you have a better understanding of it? Do you think you're at it nearly what, a year?
Yeah, I like I was saying, the more you do something, the more you realize how hard it is to do it really well. So now when I watch, like, I'm watching on YouTube, I'm watching so much stuff on YouTube because some of these people, these filmmakers on YouTube, not even beer reviewers, just anything, the stand of their filmmaking is absolutely incredible. Like they're spending a couple of grand on the camera. They've got drones. They've got, you know, all the equipment and everything they need. So when I look back, when I watch some of these videos and then I watch my own, and I can see where, you know, I'm about here and I need to get all the way up there. If I want to do, you know, I don't want to make video quality videos, but I'd like to bridge that gap a little bit so that when people sit down, you know, because it is all about entertainment. You know, if you're watching someone review a beer, it's partly about learning about that beer, but it's also about being entertained by the person as they go. So I want to be able to, you know, say something that, you know, would make people want to sit there and not just click off and go and watch something else. I'm watching a guy right now. He's an Australian guy called Bo Miles, and he's got his own YouTube channel, and he's absolutely blown up on YouTube. But his content is such high quality, and it sort of makes me think, well, you know, if I want people to watch my videos, like, you know, as well as being able to actually properly review a beer, you know, I've got to learn. I'm going to have to learn how to YouTube properly. So, like you're asking, you know, do I know more about YouTube? What I've learned in the first 9 months has been a lot, and the biggest learning curve for me has been trying to get lighting right and trying to get some kind of a script, or not script, but some kind of a flow to what I'm saying on camera. So yeah, I've learned a lot. If I look back on my first video, I haven't done that, but if I look back on my first video now, I'd like to see that I've improved a lot. Now I probably should. Now I've said it, I'm probably going to go and look back on my first video. But I'm hoping that I have. I mean, even I bought a set of big softbox lights. I've got a whole bunch of weird stuff. I haven't spent much money, but I've got like a sheet, a double bed sheet held up between two big rods that go right from the floor to the ceiling that are just pieces of wood pulled tight so that I can diffuse the light so that I don't have too much light shining off my head, which I do right now. But specifically to try and just, you know, millimeter by millimeter, just improve what I'm doing. So I've learned a lot, but I feel like, you know, I've only touched the surface really. I am enjoying it though, Thomas. Like the more I do it, the more I think actually I'm really enjoying making the videos as well as reviewing the beers. And when I first started, for me, it was, you know, will my camera get my head in the shot kind of thing, you know, and where do I have to sit that people can see my beer? You know, will I have to put a table higher up and put it there so that they can see it? Or will I have to sit back here and can they see the label? You just learn as you go. Like yourself, it's all a bit of learning, and it's I'm off. While I'm still not back at work, I've got all this spare time. I'm doing other stuff, but it's a great opportunity for me to do something and not waste my time. Steve, good evening. So yeah, I am learning about YouTube, but what I'm learning is it's actually really hard to make high quality videos on YouTube on a camera, on a phone. Sorry.
I swear. Next question, I suppose I ask everyone: best and worst comment.
Oh, for me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I can tell my worst one because I didn't forget it in a hurry. I can tell you that for a fact. I was doing, the box set of the Galway Bay, the 200 Fathoms release at Christmas.
Yeah.
And I got really excited. And in the second episode, I think it was, I didn't actually taste the beer. I was talking about it and looking at it and staring at it, but I didn't actually taste it for about 12 or 13 minutes before I'd even flipped the lid off of it. Well, it made one man absolutely furious. I can't remember word for word, but it was something along the lines with 12 effing minutes before you've even taken the cap off the beer, or F off or something like that. So he was but the thing is, that guy, he made that comment, and as I was reading it, I was actually thinking, do you know what? He's absolutely right. So another thing I'd learned on YouTube is open the damn beer, But I struggle with it because I always feel like I ought to pay a bit of respect to the beer or the brewery or whatever before I open the beer. But I can see how it would be really annoying if you're sat there waiting for someone to review a beer and then they just sit there and they just talk and talk and talk. Open the damn beer. So that guy, we had a good chat afterwards because I replied to him. I said, you know what, you are absolutely bang on right. I've got to learn not to waffle on about the beer before actually even opening the bottle. So I've made a mental note of that, and I never forgot that comment. And I suppose the best comments, I had a really great comment today, and I need to look at my phone to remember what it was. But someone made a comment today. Oh, yeah, a guy today. He said, I can't get it there. He said, absolutely brilliant. I'll get it in a minute. But it made me think, okay, I'm on the right track. I'm actually saying, sorry, I'm looking off camera. I'm trying to get this on my phone now. But it was just a couple of words, but it made me think, do you know what? That's kind of what I hear. Pierce Jordan today said, wait a minute. Superb video, well presented. And that's all I needed to hear, because it was on a video that I was worried, was I talking too much? It was on the Guinness and O'Hara's video that I just did. And he just wrote, superb video, well presented. And it makes me think, okay, so at least people that are watching are actually enjoying some of it. Now, I've got to work out over the next 6 months, where's the happy balance between me talking about beer and me actually just drinking beer? I'm sure you've seen that guy who does the TikTok or whatever he does. Yeah. I'm not sure. The Guinness Guru. I think he's got YouTube videos. Yeah, it's called Guinness Guru, and he does videos, but his is all about having a laugh, and it's all about Guinness, and for me, it's like, oh, okay, you can review the beer and you can talk about it, but if people aren't engaged by what you're saying, you're gonna get comments like that comment that I had at the beginning that said, just shut up and open the beer. So I'm learning, and of course the people in the beer club are telling me as well. Like, I liked it when you did this, but it also, I'd prefer it if you did such and such, and I have to read between the lines by what they're saying a lot of the time. That's why I try to do 2 separate types of video: no nonsense beer review, under 10 minutes. Like, here's a beer, bang, now let's talk about it as I'm drinking it. And I try to do that style video, and then I also try to do this information, sort of delving deeper into something to do with beer kind of a video. So like for instance, the reason I bought this beer today is you asked me,
get 2 beers under €6, I think.
Yeah, and this beer is like £2, but it's one of the best IPAs. It standard, good value, high quality IPAs in the country. But it's just a very, very basic beer with a very innocuous kind of label, private branded label. But I thought, why, you don't have to go off and get, the next best thing. You can just drink a decent beer, and that's a decent beer. So, but that beer makes me think, why is it good? How's it come to be that way? And then when you know something about it, you've got information that you can share. So that's how I try to go about those videos. Like, things that I'm interested in.
Yeah, that's the first kind of Irish person that was coming on that was available. I was saying, what beers would you pick, and what beers would I pick for that price range? So I went to Aldi. I get the 5 hammer on this thing. Should put it the right way around. Triple Light. I know it's not the best beer in the world. And then the stout. So
nothing wrong with O'Shea. It's brilliant.
Yeah. That's it for $1.90, is it? I forget what the reduced VAT on it still. They're okay. Like, for beers in Aldi, you got beers from Lidl. They're pretty good, I think.
Well, all of those beers, though, Thomas, like, some from Hyla, you've got some from Rye River, you've got some from Carlo Brewing Company, and you've got some from, branded ones, Dundalk Bay stuff as well, and Station Works. I mean, no, not Station Works anymore. Roadworks IPA is a good example because, that's a private branded beer, but actually not that bad at all. And these beers that we're drinking now, they're all, €1.90, €2, €2.50, so you don't always have to go and spend a whole bunch of money to get a decent IPA. So for me, this absolutely fine. Really nice beer. Made in a really good brewery. And I got really cross with someone in a Facebook forum in the UK for really slagging off that range of beers. And I shouldn't have done, but I got cross with them because I just thought, you haven't got a clue what you're talking about. And I love to learn about, the stories behind all these beers.
Trick of the Light. Slag them off. Was it Portugal or somewhere like that? And you're kind of thinking, how did that beer get from Ireland to Portugal, and how is it stored? And you're buying it in. You're still buying it in that supermarket, and it's not refrigerated. You can't be getting out about it, I think.
No, honestly, I think a lot of these supermarket beers are way better than their price tag leads you to believe. And because the private branded labels of these like grafters in Dunn stores, it looks boring as hell. But that's Dunn stores. They want that label. They've designed that label. This is what we want, and then the brewery just goes and brews the best beer they can to put in that bottle, and then the price tag is like as low as it could possibly be, so you're getting a high quality beer at a lot of these beers like O'Shea's, like you're drinking, or even just a good beer, but you're getting great value. So excuse me.
No problem.
Last saying, Trick of the Light is my favourite supermarket beer. Which one is that? Is that O'Shea's, is it?
Yeah, this one. Oh, right way around. I should get tagged at sometime.
Trick of the Light. Absolutely fabulous. Like less than €2. There you go.
Do you think the new legislation? I know the multi-price has come in, so I know in my local supermarket, ours is always 2 for $5 on their core range. They're now $2.75 each. Do you think this is going to affect the craft industry more?
Well, I'll tell you, I have an opinion on this because when that legislation happened, I was going to just a couple of months ago. I was in Tesco's and I was walking through the barriers that you now have to have, and I noticed that their 8 Degrees beers had stopped being 3 for €9, so they were €3 a can, which I thought was pretty reasonable. Some good beers. And they now couldn't sell them for three for $9. They had to be individually priced. And when I saw them after that, they were like €3.49 or €3.60. I forget which it was, but I was thinking that really annoyed me. And then a month later, I went back, and then they were $2.89 a can. So they were actually cheaper.
Yeah.
So I know some beers have gone up and some beers have actually, as a result of this, got cheaper. Some of them have stayed exactly the same because the 4 for $10s, like White Hag, be a good example. As a friend of mine, Brendan Kenny, as he pointed out, they were always €2.50 anyway. And you're saying to me O'Hara's have gone up a little bit, but in my local independent off license in Tullamore, you can get any of the range, including the double IPA and the tropical IPA. They're all for €2.50 as long as you buy. I think that he still sells them in there for 4 for $10, but they're €2.50. So you can actually get those beers, even not just the low ABV ones, but the high ABV ones as well. So I think
moving on then to the minimum price unit, I think it's probably going to come in this year, end of this year, next year. What do you think that will do? Do you think that will move people onto craft, maybe?
I don't know what's going to happen with that. I find it confusing. I've read it, but I don't understand. I have a feeling that what's going to move people onto craft beer has already just happened. This pandemic has changed people's drinking, has forced them to, we're looking at canned beers now, a lot of canned beers or single package beers. You're not going to the pub, so you're not getting your favorite local beer. So now you're going to the off licenses and the supermarkets, and you're seeing a whole range of different beers because everyone's had to package their beers only for retail sale. So I think that's already happened, but I also think that what you're talking about, the minimum pricing, I just think, when you go to the other end of the supermarket and you see, that you can get 20 bottles for €15 of Budweiser, that's what's the key that's going to stop people from jumping across. So when you get those 24 packs, like up to a better pricing, or when you get when supermarkets are able to do these type beers for like $1.49 or $1.50 or $1.70, you just bridge that gap and you just make it a bit closer, a bit easier for people to make that switch. I think that's more likely to do it. Because the other beer is just so cheap to make because they're making it on volume and they're already contracted, and they're probably hedge prices as well for the next 3 years. So regardless of whatever changes the government makes, they probably already paid for it.
What was your first beer? First ever beer?
Craft beer or any beer?
No, first beer ever.
My first beer was a Diamond White. I'm trying to think of the ABV of Diamond White, but it's quite high. And at the same time I had that, I also had Carlsberg Special Brew. When I was 13, I used to sleep over at my mate's house, 3 or 4 of us all in the same room, just lads, and we'd have like 1 or 2 beers to share between us. It never ever ended well, ever, not once. It was always a disaster, like puking up, and it was a nightmare. So my first foray into beer was just terrible. I could tell you my first. I can't really tell you my first craft beer because, like, I've always, it depends what sort of label you put on. Sorry?
Does it present what you consider what is craft and what is craft now?
Well, I'll say this, Thomas. Like, my definition of what craft beer is has changed over the last 2 years, because I now, if I look at a bottle of Duvel, let's say, I don't look at that and say that's craft beer. I look at that and say that's beer. But I kind of separate what is rubbish beer from everything else. So, while, you walk into an old man's pub in England and ask for a pint of bitter, well, that's traditional beer and it's regional beer. And you could argue, because it's from a microbrewery down the road, that it's craft beer as well. So, when I came to Ireland, I guess the one that really tipped the balance for me was all 3 of the Trouble Brewing beers. I went on a camping holiday to down in Wicklow, to the campsite in Wicklow. I'm trying to remember the name. Red Hill. Oh, a campsite. Anyway, where the Wicklow Brewery is now. They had Mickey Finn's there, and they had 3 bottles in the back. They had the Sabotage, the Deception, and the Dark Arts Porter, all from Trouble Brewing. And I remember drinking those one night when I was staying there, and I thought, I don't want to drink Heineken, Carlsberg. I don't want to drink any of that ever again. This is what I want to drink, because it's got flavour and it doesn't taste that same old lagery macro lager again. So
I'll drink it down as fast as I can.
And try and get yourself a hangover, get yourself a nice big headache, empty your wallet as fast as you can, and really, really not enjoy anything after you've finished your last beer. It's madness. Can't stand it. I can't stand hangovers anymore, headaches, all that. I hate it. I taste beer and I drink beer, but I don't drink beer to get drunk. I just can't stand it anymore. Like, I used to do it all the time, week in, week out. And like crazy stuff. When I used to be on 6 o'clock in the morning, I used to stay up till 3 or 4, PlayStation, drinking, just crazy stuff on a Friday night, and then in early on Saturday morning. Just too old for that now. I just don't enjoy it. And I just, I think the new generation of beer drinkers in Europe are going to grow up a different way, because I think they're going to grow up appreciating quality rather than quantity. So, and that all feeds into the question you asked before about, when I said, these 24 packs for $19.99 that you get of all these big beers, like, that'll still happen. But I think a good portion of the younger generation are curious and they want quality. They're demanding quality, and you can't get that from Budweiser or Heineken. I'll still drink a Bud. Like, I'll drink a pint of Heineken. I don't care, but not really. I can't remember the last one I had. But I'm not too beer snobby that I won't go into a bar have a pint of Heineken if it's on tap and I'm thirsty and it's hot weather. You know, at the end of the day, beer is beer. So
I suppose moving on to that, I know you have kids, so if one of them asked you for a beer at a young age,
yeah,
when does
like my
like
my kids, they're interesting because they watch me do home brews, they watch me do beer videos, and they listen to me talking to them and to other people about beer, and they see people in the beer club, not so much now, but a lot in the past, coming in and out of the house. And you know, I think what they've learnt through me about beer is they're not in a rush to go off sneaking out and trying a beer. If they're curious about that, they'll come to me. So I think they're in no hurry to. They're more in a hurry to, like, my daughter will ask, "Can I smell that beer?" And I always say, "Yeah." Like, and then I say, "Right, now sit there and talk to me about it." You know, and get her to really think about it. And my son's not as interested as my daughter is. So, but you know, I did say to my lad the other night, I said, "I can't wait to take you to a pub." He's 14. I can't wait to take him to a pub and just sit down and have a pint of beer with him, like, and enjoy beer the way it's meant to be. Like, but he'll go through, you know, kids will go through all the stages that we went through, just losing the run of yourself and everything, like, but better informed.
hopefully, 3 words that a friend would describe you as?
Twat, twat, twat.
No, I'm seriously,
Bold, fat, twat. 3 words that someone would describe me as. Wow. I don't know. Maybe someone's. Is anyone watching?
there's 4 people.
I haven't got many friends then, have I? Ask them.
There's lots of big. No, come on, I asked you now.
Okay.
There's a lot harder questions coming. Trust me.
I don't know. Honest? I don't know. I don't know. That's weird. I don't know. I don't actually know what other people think of me. Like, if they describe me, probably
3 words that you would describe yourself as.
I'm interested, and I'm curious and interested. Same kind of thing, really. I like to think of myself as being thoughtful, especially when it comes to doing beer reviews. Like, so I would count thoughtful in there. Not recently, because I've been out of work for quite a while, but I was pretty generous with my beer and buying people beers. But Lars online now, so he's taken over from all that.
We'll get another someday. I suppose going back to your videos at the start of the year, how much drink would you? Would you drink every night, or do you leave it to the weekly?
Well, I tell you what, I'm delighted you asked that question, because just in the last 6 months, there's been a big change in me personally about how I feel about beer. Because over the last 3 years, I've tried so many beers. I don't do Untapped, but if I did, like, I'd be well over a couple of thousand beers at this stage, surely, because I've tried so many beers. But the more beers you drink, the more calories you consume, the more pounds you put on the waistline. And one of the things I was doing 7 years ago was running the Dublin Marathon. So in order to do that, I had to cut down on fatty foods and beers, and I got to the point where I felt so good and so healthy and fit that I've never felt like that in my life. And in the last 3 years, I've gone and put all that weight back on that I got off in my weekly long runs. I was doing 30 kilometers in my long run every single week for about 6 to 9 months. I was doing well over 100 kilometers a week. Yeah, and now I was running fast as well, and now in the last 6 months I've reached a point where I've said, you can't carry on drinking because your waistline is going out and comments are being made by family members, like comments that they don't sting, but they sit heavy on you after a while. And you just think, you know what, I need to get rid of some of that. So in January, I did that dry January. And I knew I was going to do it. I knew as far back as last summer that I wanted to do something. I needed a thing to spark it. And the dry January was the thing for me. And even though I'm still like nearly 18 kilos over where I want to be, I still managed to lose about a stone of weight just in that 1 month by reducing all my beer and reducing the amount of food that I'm eating. So when you ask me, about how much I drink a week, it's changed for me dramatically in 2021. So 3 or 4 days a week I don't drink, whereas every day last year I had a beer. I might have had one beer, I might have had 2 beers, but very likely just one. And then maybe on a Friday or a Saturday I might go to 3. I might have 3, or push the boat out and have 4. But I'd space all my beers out across over the week, whereas a lot of people have nothing throughout the week, and then they go and have 8, 9, 10 on the weekend.
Yeah.
And it just changed for me, Thomas. And it changed after that January. It really wasn't the January. It was hard. Baldy waffler is true. See there. That's 2 ways of describing me. So the first week of February, I felt really good, like really, really good. And ever since I've been back on the treadmill and I've been reducing the amount of beer that I have, and I've been thinking about the units of beer. So if I have I don't know if this one says on the back here, probably 2.4 units of beer in this, and it's a 6% beer. If you go and have a Russian Imperial Stout, it's about 6 units of beer. You're only supposed to have 17 as a man throughout the whole week. Well, 1 beer, 6 units. You have 2 of those beers, 3 of those beers, and you're already over what you're supposed to have for 1 week. So I'm thinking a lot more. I'm not saying I'm not going to drink beers or whatever. I'm just saying I'm thinking about the beers I'm having and I'm enjoying them more. And I'm also getting back into running a lot. I run pretty much every single day now, even if it's just small amounts. Like the last 3 days, I've been out doing stuff in the back garden and stuff, like, which is really taken a lot out of me. But reducing the beer and reducing the amount of shite food I eat this year is a big deal for me, and that's why I did that dry January and the 2 or 3 videos I made with it, because it was something that I was really interested in, and something going forward I'm going to be even more interested in. And also last year I found that because I was drinking a beer a day, I didn't get a thirst for beer. I was just opening them. It became just walk to the fridge and just pick up a beer and don't even think about it at all. Whereas, like, if you just leave them till the end of the week, you're actually looking forward to a beer. So that's kind of where I am right now. Like this week, I'll tell you now. I've had I did a beer. I did the stout nitro stout episodes. So I've probably had more than I would have last week. Last week I had next to nothing. This week I probably had 7 or 8 beers. but one of them I'm drinking now, and a couple of them I've shared with the wife as well. So just toning it back and not losing the run of it, not chasing after beers as well. Gets on my nerves. I really don't want to be chasing after every single new beer that comes out, because there's just so many new beers out there. Like every single day there's new beer. Like I've drank over 2,000 unique beers and my waistline is still the same. Yeah, but the thing is, Steve, it won't always be. I promise you, it won't always be the same. I was skinny like Steve up until about 6 years ago.
Has the last year taken effect on your mental health?
Being out of work, yeah, because I'm a worker. I work. You know, chefs work like lunatics. But you know, if you're out of work, you find other stuff to do. So start a beer channel. Do all the DIY that I never did because I kept looking at it and never did it because I was too tired getting home. Keeping busy. Last 3 days, I've torn up half my back garden. Like, it's scary how bad it looks right now. But keeping busy doing stuff and the running, it all feeds. Are you skinny like me now, Brendan? No comment. Well, yeah, and so yeah, just keeping busy doing stuff and having sport or hobbies, running, brewing beer, reviewing beers, keeping online, doing stuff like this, Zoom calls, chats, messenger groups, keep yourself busy, and a ton of good, healthy cooking. Describe Brendan, knowledgeable, kind, and a geek. That's a beer hug. Yeah, so, keeping busy. So my mental health is, I can see how, like, my next door neighbor, it's okay, I don't mind telling people here because they don't know particularly where I live, but my next door neighbor, a Polish guy, he's not Polish, he's from Eastern Europe, but 2 weeks ago he killed himself. Suicide. He'd been out of work and he just couldn't take it anymore. And you know, so it affects people very, very differently. It depends on the person. But you know, mental health is the absolute number one priority. Beer is a weak second place. Weak second place. Mental health is number one. And then my beer belly.
This could be a weird question. I'd like you to answer it. Last time you've cried?
Probably being kicked in the nuts at that stage. I tell you what, I can't remember the last time I did, but I can remember the last time I saw a grown man cry, and it was yesterday.
No, the last time you cried, that, come on. You said your is strong.
All right, well, I'll tell you that one in a minute. When did I last cry?
Oh, you're too strong of a man to cry.
Hold on. No, I'm thinking. Hold on, give me a minute, because I'm on the spot there.
The happiest day of your life, then.
Huh?
The happiest day of your life.
Now, while I'm thinking, I'll tell you about the grown man I saw cry yesterday. There is a film on Netflix called My Octopus Teacher. It's about a South African filmmaker, you know, wildlife filmmaker, and he goes back home to live where he lives, and he makes friends with an octopus, and the octopus lives for a year and then dies, and there was a lot of teary eyes going on there. I won't say I shedded one. Maybe I did.
Okay. So we'll go on to the next one. The happiest day of your life.
Oh, there's two. One is holding my son for the first time, and the other's holding my daughter for the first time.
Okay.
And I'll throw in a bonus one. I tell you what, and I didn't shed a tear, but there was a bit of a glassy eye involved in this, right? A few years back, I entered a double IPA into a national homebrew competition, and I won gold. And I can tell you, that was a very happy occasion for me, and I was a little bit emotional. Next question.
Biggest fear.
Huh?
Biggest fear.
Biggest fear.
Yeah.
Biggest fear is getting old and not feeling like I've done what I think I should have done, which is put yourself out there a little bit. I don't want to look back and say, you kind of didn't do much, really. Sometimes I do say that, but, you know.
Well, do you have any regrets in life?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty good patissier chef. I have been. I've worked as the head pastry chef in the Shelburne Hotel for 4 years, and I trained in one of the best hotels in the world for 4 years. Done all my qualifications, and I kind of regret not ever opening up a patisserie cake shop. But I've gone too far to come back there now. And sometimes I think I should have jumped out of catering altogether and just gone and worked in a brewery, because it's really, really, really easy to transfer from cooking to brewing. And I actually think brewing, once you've got it down, is probably far, far easier than working in a kitchen. So, yeah, maybe I should have been a brewer, and maybe I should have opened up my own shop. That's it. Tough questions now. They're getting tougher, are they?
Little. Last time you were rejected.
Last time I what?
Was rejected.
Was rejected?
Yeah.
What? In what sense? Last time I was. And anyway, all right, hold on.
Anyway. Sorry.
Last time. Hold on now. Let me think about this now. Last time I was rejected. In my career, any job I've gone for, I was offered every single time. I've never not got the job I went for. So I've always, every interview I've been for, I've got the job. Whether I've taken it or not is another thing. The job before that I was working at, before my last job, well, before my current job, I lasted there a year, and it was made redundant, which was kind of a bummer. That's a bit of a rejection. I don't think of any other rejections. I mean, rejections depends what context you mean them in, but
yeah, well,
I've made some pretty terrible beers that people have gone, yeah, maybe you want to work on that a little bit. That kind of feels a little bit dejecting. Yeah. Next question.
Okay, if I had a plane ticket right now and I could give it to you, where would you go to? Anywhere in the world. And
Bora Bora. Bora Bora. You know where Bora Bora is? Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I'll tell you a little story about Bora Bora. I used to work, well, actually I just told you, I worked in the Shelburne Hotel. And before it was a Marriott hotel, it was run by a different crowd, like an independent sort of hotel company, but they owned the largest resort in Bora Bora. And as an employee, I missed the opportunity to go to Bora Bora for 2 weeks for 140 euros. And it was 10 euros a night accommodation. All I had to pay for was the plane tickets. I missed it because I just couldn't for the timing that was in it. But those 2 weeks, you go and stay on like a pontoon, and you have like your own swimming pool which goes into the sea, and you have a glass bottom bedroom and everything. It would have been absolutely incredible, and it would have cost, that's like a 10,000 euro holiday. But I couldn't go, I couldn't get the time off or something like that. So that's why I always, anytime someone says, where do you want to go? I say Bora Bora, because it always plays on my mind that I missed out on that opportunity. If there's somewhere I could go closer to home right now, I wouldn't mind sitting in a Belgian bar somewhere that is steeped in culture, that gives me a bit of a look into Belgian life, and also close to the coastline, so I could learn a bit more about the wars that went on. So I'd probably pick there, but I could pick 100 different places. There's loads of places I want to go. Say that for now, though.
Okay, if you could have a dinner with 3 people who are dead, who would the 3 people be, and why? Even though 3 famous people are 3 people if you want to do them separately.
Definitely my grandfather would be the top of the ranks, because he was a Green Beret in the army, and we're just looking at pictures of him yesterday, and I just realized I don't really know much about him, so I'd love to sit down with him now as an adult and ask him all the questions that I never really even occurred to me to think about to ask him as a child. So he would be the very top of the list. And then this sounds really lame. No, really sad. My stepfather, who passed away as well. So those 2, right? But then let's think of someone. Who would I really want to? I can't think right now on the top of my head.
Okay, go back to it if you want. If you dream car or dream vehicle.
I have one actually. I have one, and it's not a Porsche, not a Lamborghini. I've always wanted to have an Audi, like top of the range Audi. I don't know, A4, A5, A2. It doesn't really matter, A6. I don't really mind which one, but a top of the line Audi. It's just an odd obsession of mine, because they feel like somewhere in between a Mercedes and a BMW and the rest of the world, which is, your Fords and all that kind of Toyotas and whatever. But I would love to have an Audi. Still trying to think of who I would resurrect to have a chat with. Hold on now. I'm going to get it now, because 1 second. Give me a second here. Hold on. Probably Tupac. No, I take that back. Biggie Smalls. Notorious B.I.G. And I should have got that a long time ago, but I wasn't really. When you said that, I started thinking of biblical figures and Martin Luther King, and I was like, no, Biggie Smalls. I'd love to sit at a table with him.
What was your first phone? Mobile phone?
I can remember it. It was a Virgin mobile phone, and I held it in my hand like that, and it was thick and heavy. I'm trying to think. It was like holding, I don't know, something that was twice as thick as a banana and really, really heavy. Like it was massive. Trying to put it in my pocket. I think I still have it somewhere as well. I kept it. I had a Virgin mobile phone while I was in London, so that would have been in 94, 97. That would have been in like 1999, 98, something like that. So I think around that sort of time. But my stepfather, he worked for a company in England called Racal, RACAL, and they were the precursor or the merged company which ended up being Vodafone. And he used to sell the very, very first mobile phones in the cars with the big, huge box that sat right in the well of the passenger's car. And the phone was just like this giant thing. It looked like it should have been in a war. So there you go.
What were you like at school?
I'll tell you, absolutely 100%. I was an absolute dickhead in school. I really didn't know myself. I didn't know. I spent all my time worrying about what other people thought of me instead of trying to impress myself, sitting in a bar in Bruges, eating Flemish stew and drinking Flemish brew. I'm right there with you, Steve. Absolutely. I would absolutely kill to be doing that right now. Just sitting there watching people go by, eating my stew, sipping on a beer. Maybe we will. Maybe we will one day.
Maybe we'll actually get together in Ireland one day. But
yeah, one day.
Nickname, Deb. What nicknames do you have in school?
Goofy fucking cunt. There you go. Straight facts. Yeah. Slaphead. I already was thinning out then. That's it. I won't say any more.
Did you go to college? Did you go to Conway College, or what did you do after?
In England, it's different because I know it's different over here. You stay in school usually till you're like 18 or something, which is kind of bizarre. In England, you do your GCSEs, which is your junior cert over here, I believe, or similar to it. But the GCSEs over here in England, that's it. That's school finished. So you finished at either 15 or 16 years old. If you go on to further education, you have to go somewhere else. So, all schools, the secondary schools in England they finish. When you finish the 5th year, you do your GCSEs or your junior cert, you're done after that. Sorry, beer's repeating on me. And then you get the choice to do A levels and then or you can go on to like universities after that. But a lot of people, they either go straight out into work or they go to college or they do day release college courses. That's what I did for 4 years. So I finished school and I had my 16th birthday in a split shift working in a restaurant, living in a premises 35, 40 miles away from my family home with no car. Happy days. Don't be a chef, ever.
Good old days. Good memories, I'd say. If you had any advice for that person who did that split shift, if you could go back and give him any advice, what advice would you give him?
Oh, the best advice ever. Just immediately eat the cake. There were 3 birthday cakes in that split shift. One was from my mum. One was sent to me by my friends, and one was sent to me by the kitchen where I was working. I'd only been there 3 months. I should have eaten that cake, and the next thing I should have done is gone upstairs, got changed into my normal clothes, and I should have gone and never been a chef ever again. That would have been the best advice ever. And if I could go back right now, that's exactly what I'd do. Because being a chef is just, it's a fool's errand unless you open up your own place.
What music are you into? Or are you more TV, music?
I like all music. Like, you know, I liked rap music for quite a long time, but I also liked, you know, rock music. Also liked Oasis. Also liked Biffy Clyro, Foo Fighters. You know, I've liked absolutely everything at one point or another. Right now, much to my son's dismay and my daughter's curious looks, Alan, evening. I'm actually, huh?
He's getting these are next week, so
Is he?
yeah, for him.
I'm listening to absolutely everything, and I'm not really fussed about styles or genres anymore. I tell you what I do though. I've got into a routine of sitting down at lunchtime with my son because he's at home still being homeschooled because the schools aren't open. So we're sitting at home and I just tell Alexa to play easy listening jazz. For some reason, she didn't do it there and then. But just sitting down, and then it gives me time to focus on looking up my YouTube channel, working out what I'm going to do next. So yeah. If I had to be pinned down to something right now, though, Foo Fighters right now are absolutely killing it. I might get my second beer.
Sorry? Yeah, go on. No, go on. You get second beer.
Bye.
Thanks for everyone who commented. I'm sorry if I'm not putting not reading out the comments. Yeah, I'll relook for next week. Questions are, going to be similar. I'll try and match them to you, hopefully.
Okay, second beer, pale wheat ale, and I haven't had it in ages, but I know it's such a cheap beer, but extremely high quality beer.
I mean, I always pick up a bottle. I'm usually not, but
yeah, it gets bypassed so much, and yet it's probably like one of the best American sort of wheat ales there is. Pale wheat ale, lovely pineapple flavors, citrus flavors. Yeah, I love it. Cheers. What are you drinking now?
The stout, the shea stout.
Oh yeah. What other random questions have you got for me now? When did I last cry? That's brilliant. You put me on the spot because when you asked me that, I was like, I actually couldn't remember. And when you asked me, 3 people at a table, I do like Coldplay. I don't care. This is Neil Bolton. I like Parachute's album, the Coldplay first album. I'll still listen to it. I don't care. It doesn't even count as a guilty pleasure. Like Bones, oh yeah, I love it.
And what's watching TV then, or Netflix or Amazon or whatever you watch here?
We are as a family, I am in the middle of season 4 of The American Office, which my son, daughter, and wife and myself absolutely love. Michael Scott. It's just fantastic. So we always watch that. We always watch Richard Osmond on his quiz game Monday to Friday. So we do that every day so that we're all doing stuff. I like Westlife. Okay. But myself, I watched something today which freaked me out, and I would strongly advise everybody to watch this. It's on Netflix. It's called, yeah, agreed, American Office. On Netflix now, there's something called Seaspiracy. It's like a play on conspiracy. So Seaspiracy, Seaspiracy. And I would strongly urge people to take a look at it. It's like, you look at it and you think, oh, do I really want to watch that? And I was just bored this afternoon. I was nearly half asleep on the sofa and I turned it on, and the facts that in there about how much of the world's fish we've actually destroyed or depleted or thrown back in the sea dead, it's scary. There's too many humans on the planet. There's just no other way of explaining it. It's just too many of us. It's kind of like a what was that? You have to watch it. Seaspiracy. It's on Netflix. Now, what am I watching on Amazon Prime? I've been watching American Gods on Amazon Prime. That's pretty weird. I watch absolutely tons of TV, too much TV. I watch pretty much everything, but the American Office is just brilliant. Watching Dwight and Michael Scott, it's just chicken soup for the soul. Love it.
I suppose when you mentioned about the Seaspiracy, you have fear for the future as you children. I don't. Yeah.
Well, if you watch, you know the film The Inconvenient Truth. When were you last in the saw? The Inconvenient Truth about the planet dying. Well, Seaspiracy pretty much, as a pun, knocks that out of the water, because it's all about we're destroying the ecology in the sea faster than we're destroying the actual planet. So humans are just we've hit the button already. We're already self-destructing. It's absolute madness. I missed those comments. I wasn't reading them. I was trying to get my words right.
Okay.
When were you last in a sauna? I want a free t-shirt, Brad. Free t-shirt. I tell you what, Thomas said to me before I did this stream, he said, send me on your logo. I was like, I read it and I was like, oh yeah, I probably ought to get a logo.
Mine took me about 30 seconds to make, so.
I will say this though, somebody in private offered to do me a logo. So I think I'm gonna take that person up on that offer. Just watched Life on Mars, 2007, but I loved it. Yeah, it's Life. I think I've watched that, but I can't, because I've watched so much. I can't remember what Life on Mars is. I think I've watched it. I'm so bad. I'm drinking a strawberry, raspberry, red currant, banana vanilla, lactose fruited sour. Is there any way you can kick Steve Forsyth off the stream for what he's just wrote? I'm not having that. Snowpiercer, I watched that, which is kind of like, yeah, it's all right. It's a bit. I want to watch the Formula One thing that's on there. I'm looking to the side now. Sorry. Continue watching. There's been some crap. I'm watching Biggie. I've got a story to tell, which is another rehash of how Biggie Smalls passed away. I watched Swedish Detectives. I also watched something yesterday called The Dig, not The Dick. I'm a dick. With who's in that? I think it's Ralph Fiennes or something. What else did I watch? I'm going through what I've watched. Can't tell you half of them because they're weird. And then we got Amazon Prime free for a year because we're with goes back in time as a cop. Oh yeah, that's why I've seen that. Yeah. brilliant. And I've noticed the Bohemian Rhapsody, but on Amazon Prime. I'll probably watch that again, even though I've already seen it. All of The Walking Dead, The Boys. I tried watching Coming to America too, but after about 15 minutes, I was just like, please, that should have never been remade. Just let it go.
It was a bit like I watched, was it Bad Boys 2? I think I lasted like 15 minutes. It's so bad.
I keep looking at this. I'm looking at my phone to see what I've watched, but here's a really good one, right? If you're anything like me, you'll love this. Truth Seekers. Watch that. You know, if you like all of the like sort of English sort of comedy satire, Truth Seekers, 100%. You've got to watch that. What else? Oh, I watched The Man in the High Castle because someone told me to watch all of it. I thought that was brilliant, considering how intricate it is. The Expanse, also brilliant on Amazon. And I watched Nazi Hunters as well, which was pretty good. Jack Ryan, all those. I watched loads of stuff. Fear of the Walking Dead. Started to watch the first season of a new Walking Dead thing. It's kind of like after the Walking Dead. It's kind of, but it was a bit too young, so I let that one go. Yeah, I watched too much, far too much.
Yeah, I could never get into The Walking Dead, so.
But
I'll go back to it sometime.
Yeah, but I stand by what I said at the beginning of the stream. If anyone's listening, they should look at Beau Miles, Beau Miles, because he's done something fantastic on YouTube, and you can sit there and watch his documentaries, his mini videos, and his videos are just absolutely incredible. Brooklyn Nine-Nine Series 7 out today. My daughter's doing loops. Can't wait to see it. So we'll be watching that as well. 100% Brooklyn Nine-Nine. We've watched all of that. Next.
What do you mean next?
What are you doing on your channel? What's going on? Let me ask you a question. Tell me about your channel. Come on.
It's me recording very shit reviews and getting people on live to talk about random shit again. That's my job.
No, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it. I like the idea of these streams. I think they're good. I think these streams are good because, like you said, you get to chat with one-on-one or just two people. If you've got 3 or 4 people in any kind of a Zoom call or a StreamYard call or whatever, you're going to get people talking over each other or conversations being chopped up, and so this is kind of like an easy way of just go online, shoot the breeze, and just chat about stuff.
Because the 4 people I've been on, so never met them. I got Scott and Wanda on last week. 2 people I've never met. I know too much about their lives. It's crazy, like.
Yeah.
Yes.
This beer is fantastic, by the way. Love the reviews.
If you were to open a brewery, if you went out under tomorrow and you were to open a brewery, what would your first beer be?
Dark lager, 100%. In fact, like I'd ban lactose from the brewery, number 1. Sour beers would have to be proper sours, not kettle sours. It would 100% be like, I think what everywhere needs more of is really well made lager styles. Dunkels, Munichs, Viennas, Box, Doppelbox, Czech Pale, Czech Lager, Czech Dark Lager. Schwarzbier. I just like get your German head on and start brewing lagers, because I have this vision in my head of going into a bar. Your Honor, oh, look at that. Well, I don't know if I've got Sky Atlantic. I have this vision of going into a bar, and where I would normally see Carlsberg, Heineken, Budweiser, and Smilix or whatever, I'd like to see Dunkel, Schwarzbier, Czech Pale Lager, and a Kolsch, So I just think that people are missing the boat. And also table beers. If I opened up a place, I'd try to stop thinking about conforming to brewery styles, and I would try to make a house beer at different strengths. So, and I changed that beer and I just call it house beer. But, I'd say, this is our house beer. At this time of the year, we use a Saison yeast. At this time of the year, we use a lager yeast. At this time of the year, we use a clean American yeast. And we make it 3 different strengths, low, medium, or high. And I'd love to see people think about beer slightly differently. Like I saw something on the back of a magazine the other day, have it here, purely by chance. That's what I'd like to see in the country. Hard kombucha. Why aren't people making alcoholic kombucha? Madness. Get on it. Kombucha on tap all over London. Everywhere you go, people are making it in their own bars, and serving it on tap, carbonated or uncarbonated, but making their own in-house tropical IPAs. Oh yeah, definitely. But lagers 100%. But like focusing on lagers, not just one lager. But that's it's very easy to know why commercial breweries in Ireland don't do that, because it's all financial. The longer your beer's in the tank, the more money you have tied up in your tanks. Therefore, the less cash flow you have in your pocket to run the bill and run the brewery and pay the bills. Same with sour beers, and the same for like places like Wide Street. They've realised that they've got to have cashmere. They've got to have like clean, fast fermenting beers as well as their preferred mixed fermentation beers. So, yeah, that would be.
What do you think of the Irish beer scene? The craft scene, I suppose.
Right, that's a good question. I'll tell you why. Because I think that Ireland doesn't realise how good the craft beer scene is. I think Ireland just thinks we're okay. And I think that's a lot to do with I think that's a lot to do with how the culture of Ireland over the last 1,000 years has been. The English came over and just fucked the whole lot up and then walked off and left it. And I think Ireland hasn't realised its potential as an entire country, but it's also been knocked back so much. The Ireland doesn't realise just how good their breweries are. I think Ireland's breweries are probably some of the best breweries on earth. Like if you talk to me about like somewhere like Whiplash, or Kinnegar or Larkin's Brewery, like I bet you if I went over to America or back, let's say back home in England, I bet you if I went back home to England and walked into a brewery, I bet you they're not as good as a lot of the breweries that we've got over here in Ireland. Now, having said that, I'm not saying we're better than England. Like I've been back home in England and the scene is absolutely exploding over there. And there's so many more people. So there's so many more breweries and there's so many more different variations of breweries. I went to a brewery down in Brighton when I went over 2 years ago, and all of their beers were hand pulled off the cask pump engine. And yet all of their beers were like all of the styles that we drink, like brown ales, tropical IPAs, NEPAs, the whole lot were just done off cask, every single one of them. And that was like a sort of a move into the future, but a nod to the past. But I think breweries in Ireland are just absolutely incredible. Look at Lime Man Brewery. His beer's just fantastic. Trouble Brewing.
Yeah.
I just think I really think that Ireland doesn't realise, it's kind of like a sleeper. It doesn't realise how good it is at brewing beer. But having said that, there's not enough lagers produced, and there's not enough confidence to be more expression in breweries. Like what I just said there a minute ago about stop, brewing the same way other people brew. Just do your own thing. How about you have a fermenter that is one of your taps? You just literally pour beer from the carbonated bright tank. Pour pints of it straight from the bright tank. Thinking out the box, I think, is something that Ireland could do a little bit more and have a little bit more confidence in themselves as a country of brewers. I think, I'm sitting here drinking this and thinking, that's absolutely fantastic. And other people are putting it down like, or thinking it's just like an okay beer. It's not. It's brilliant beer. Absolutely brilliant.
Do you think a lot of the Irish breweries have got over, I have to have a stout, an IPA, and a red ale when I open my brewery?
Not the rural ones. So rural breweries, I think they've worked out that if they don't do that, they're risking a lot. They're gambling a lot. Because like let's take Larkins as an example. They can go straight out the trap doors and go bang, 100 miles an hour, because they've got Dublin on their doorstep. They've got Wicklow, and the brewing scene is like really, really about who's got the best sort of thing. You go to the middle of Ireland and you go to rural towns where there are rural pubs in towns that aren't for changing, shall we say.
Yeah.
And you, if you're going to brew a beer, you're not going to brew a milkshake IPA and put it on the tap, because you're not going to sell any. So I think what breweries have done is they've learnt along the way that they have to model themselves on people's palates based on the demographic and geography of where they are. So I think, we've got a brewery near us, the Sleeve Bloom Brewery. I think that's the type of brewery that needs to be a bit careful, because they're a nano brewery setup, just a very small kit, and it's in their bar, and they're really serving mainly, well, pre-COVID, they're really mainly serving their beer on tap in the bar, and they've got to think about the clientele that they've got, but they've also got to have one eye on the future and one eye on distributing their beer to a wider audience. So a bit of both. But I do always remember Kenmare beers. Do you remember those Kenmare beers?
I think so.
And I always thought, that's just so basic. Stout, red ale, pale ale, bad, all three. McGargles were as well. To begin with, they were terrible, and then all of a sudden, the brewers changed, and the beers became absolutely incredible, and supermarket beers as well. But top of the line beers, So
I think someone like I know Independent, weren't they down in Connemara?
Yeah, they were selling 52 barrels of beer, kegs of beer a week, and I thought, oh, that's how did they fail when they were selling that amount of beer? But apparently you need to sell in the hundreds per week in order to keep going. So I don't know anything about the logistics or how much. Hey, Vanessa. I don't know how much. Let's smash the Gargles lineup. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. No, I don't know how many beers a brewery has to sell keg-wise in order to keep in business, but I do know that some people said the Connemara, their beers were average. But I just think that you've got to have an audience to sell to. So it's far easier to go to somewhere that's a tourist destination with a brewery because you're going to get far more people drinking your beer. But then there's also people that buck that trend as well.
Yeah.
I tell you a brewery that I absolutely love, though, that really laugh in the face of all the modern beer scene is the West Kerry Brewery. For me, like one of the places that I would most like to visit in Ireland is, I think it's called Teague Brick. Their little their bar and guest house kind of place. West Kerry Brewery. For me, I'd just love to go and see their setup and just sit in the pub and just drink their traditional beers. Licensing law, especially in the north, and bars tied to big breweries held craft beer scene back. Yeah. It's just
the tap room kind of legislation down here. It's kind of held some of the breweries back a bit as well.
I was listening to the girl, I think her name is Jenny from Boundary Brewing. I was listening to her on a Zoom chat about a month ago, and she was saying exactly what Steve just said there. Like the legislation is so archaic, but the weird thing is for Northern Ireland, like every time I go back to England, we pop into our friends in Chesham and Amersham, which is North London, and there's a brewery called the Mad Squirrel Brewery. That brewery has 4 tap rooms. They don't have a clear, distinct manner in which they're supposed to trade, but they're not really meant to be a pub. They're meant to be a tap room. But I've been in their tap rooms, and they're just pubs. And people sit down and they drink the beer that they've bought at the tap. It's just a different word. And they're actually just there's the kind of flouting the law, really. But I just think like legislation is very, very slow to catch up with where the culture of Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland are at now, especially people demanding more. Like they're realizing that everywhere else has got more, and they everywhere else is higher quality kind of thing, and it's just like, well, why can't we have that? What's in the way? And usually the thing is in the way is governments and policies and legislation and archaic laws and stupidity, bureaucracy and red tape. And that's why things don't progress as fast as breweries in this country and Northern Ireland have. They're ready. They're just waiting for people to just wake up and move.
Yeah, definitely. I think something needs to change. Do you think most of the Irish breweries could, because a lot of them are located in industrial estates? Another one, O'Hara's, is just close to me. It's in an industrial estate. I don't think it could do a tap room. Maybe it could do takeout if they wanted to.
Well, O'Hara's, don't they have like all of their beers in the brewery corner in the town? Is that right?
That's in Kilkenny, yeah. That's towards Central, I suppose. I'm not sure what way that's. And I know they've got somewhere in the Docklands where what do you call it? And they're opening somewhere else up in Dublin as well.
I just think we're right on the cusp of getting it right in terms of what the taproom thing. The taproom thing, like if you take like Dead Centre as an example in Athlone, you have to be clever, you have to be smart. You've got a brewery on site, you've got a restaurant on site, and you've also got a tour experience on site. So for places, I think Wicklow Wolf have probably got quite a lot of stuff on site as well in their place, Newtown Mount Kennedy. I think what really needs to be on the forefront of people's minds is when they start a brewery is, the government are slow in whatever, in whatever sense, legislative sense. So how am I going to be clever enough to keep a business going? And what am I going to do to innovate while the rest of the legislation is catching up with my quality-minded brain? So the likes of Liam Tutty with his Beer Cloud and with his setting up a brewery, with the local enterprise office helping him out, and understanding that you can't just, the industrial estate idea is a really, it's a really good idea for keeping costs down to a minimum. But if you can't sell beer on site, or if you have to sell it, or you have to get a particular legislative setup, or just, if you have to have the right license to sell beer, especially for up in Northern Ireland, I'm talking about, you need to be thinking about what you're going to do. Like beer, like I'm sure Steve will know that Beer Hut have thought about this, and they've said, right, well, let's get pizzas up and running. Let's get the tap room festival days up and running. Just what I'm saying is you just got to think outside the box. It can't just be open a brewery and expect to succeed on sales of beer. I think that's really limited thinking. I don't know what O'Hara's are doing, but they're an export company anyway. So O'Hara's succeed in every step of the way. I mean, I was down in Bordeaux 3 years ago, and I went to a supermarket in a rural area, and I saw O'Hara's Pale Ale on the shelf. So they're fine. They don't care about a tap room or anything. In fact, they're thinking bigger beer. That's why they're thinking nitro stout. Let's get that up and running, because obviously, if you can take a portion of the market share of Guinness, then you're on the pig's back.
Yeah. Someone like Ballycavan, I know that's where I've been up to, who have built their brewery. They're going to have a tap room.
Who?
Ballycavan and Leash there,
Oh, yeah. Ballykilcavan. Now,
yeah.
I'm so cross that I haven't got out there yet. I'm really, really cross that I haven't been out there yet. And I can't get out there now because we're in lockdown. But the thing about Ballykilcavan is they've got something that a lot of places don't have, especially breweries in industrial estates. Ballykilcavan have a story, and they have provenance, and they have history, and they have cultural identity and local community, and they're creating jobs for their local community, jobs, labouring jobs, everything they're doing, like reclaiming all of the areas and the lands of the farms and all the fields and everything. I just can't wait to get there. And David, he's even said, just just all of you come. And I joked to them once. I said, "Can we just all bring our tents and just park them up outside and stay the night?" I think he pretty much gave us the green light to do that as a beer club. I've got a really big tent, and I would absolutely love to rock up to Ballykilcavern. I tell you, this is what I'd like to do, right? I'd like to have like 40 of us rock up to Ballykilcavern. Pay for all the beers. Just go to whatever taproom bar they've got set up inside there. Pay for all our beers. Get a mash on and brew a beer with them, and then have a barbecue and stay the night. Just inviting myself to Ballykilcavern. It's hilarious. I just love to look around their grounds and look around their fields and meet Joe O'Driscoll and just chat and just sort of see what's going on and just get a feel for it, because that's the sort of place that that's special. They've got we're talking like X amount of generations of beer going on. Great, sounds great. Make it happen. I tell you, when this is over.
Two of the hot picks up there. I wasn't up this year or last year, but two before.
Yeah.
It is a brilliant place and they're such nice people.
And La Savage has been hot picking up there the last 3 years for their fresh IPA that they do every year. And I've just missed out on every single year, and I just like, now I'm off, and I'm kind of like, I wish I could go over there and just do some stuff for them, just hang out or bottle some beers or do something, but it's just the time we're in at the minute is really awkward. But to have something like that on your doorstep and not go visit it is madness. But when they get their visitor center all set up, and when they get, because they're kind of like, I don't know what it looks like because I've not been in there, but I kind of imagine it to be a big area where they could, potentially have people, if it's busy enough, they could have other shops in there, and they could have.
That's what they're thinking of. It's a courtyard, and there's other buildings. I think they're thinking maybe they might
craft.
Renovate areas and let other areas come in. But I suppose it's what people could rent areas. I suppose would be because they probably wouldn't be open 365. So probably certain days. I'm not sure. I wouldn't want to say anything against them now, but it's a brilliant place.
Could you imagine going there and there'd be a nice restaurant, but also you can go and sit outside and eat your own picnic, and then you can get a tour of the fields. It's just a no-brainer. I'd love to do it. Ballykilcavern is just. I'm so looking forward to going and seeing it, and I haven't.
You have to do something with the club, baby, because it's a place. If they could,
you should. You know what you should do? You should clip this last 5 minutes, right, and send it to Ballykilcavern, and we're inviting ourselves to your property. We're brewing a beer. We're going to brew. What are we going to brew when we get there? We're going to brew a lager. We're going to brew a Schwartz beer. We're going to use Matt de Brewer's recipe for Schwartz beer. We're going to brew it at Ballykilcavern, and then we're going to see it. But he's bringing kegs for the after pie, and then we're going to have log fire. Someone's going to bring a guitar, and it's all going to get really weird. Next question. Clip that and send that to them.
If I knew how, I would. What is your thinking of this interview? What do you think? Was it weird? Was it what you thought?
It was brilliant. I really enjoyed it, and thanks for doing it. Actually, it was just nice to sit down and talk to someone. It's kind of nice, like you said, to talk to one person, and it's also nice that you had a whole bunch of questions lined up. Last time I cried, that was weird. Yeah, but I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, just good fun. You know, and that's what beer's all about, isn't it? Just sitting down, shooting the breeze, having a chat. Like I feel like now that you've asked that, I feel like you've asked all the questions and I've just sat here answering them. I'm acutely aware of that, and it is kind of an interview, isn't it? Like it's kind of weird. I should have been asking you a whole bunch of questions. I'll ask you a question now. Hold on, let me think of one. Name the most underrated brewery in Ireland, in your opinion, and why? You can take it. You can take your time.
Ballycabin, I think, or Ballycabin, I think are a solid brewery. The beers are really dependable. You can contact them, I think, they're contactable. They're active on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're out there.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice. The hop day, I think, like, I didn't go this year. I think they have it limited to a draw or something, but you know, things like that you think are a kind of part of the brewery.
Yeah.
There you go.
It reminds me kind of like, without having seen the premises, it reminds me of you know, when you go to like on a weekend, you might go to like a country house, and you know they have like rose gardens, and then they have the rolling fields, like trees or whatever.
I think he done videos there to start the lockdown last year. David, isn't it David? David
Walsh, chemist.
Yeah. So it's on YouTube or it's on Instagram for Ballycabin. It's really interesting. You kind of see where it is, like.
I mean, it reminds me of that kind of idea because they've got a lot of buildings that they're reclaiming and you know, putting back together. So no, not the same as like a stately house or anything, but it reminds me of like, you know, you're bringing the tradition of like old farming and opening up a brewery and showing people what, you know, a barley field producing farm is all about. So I'm kind of interested in that. Yeah,
I seen their post during the week. The wheat field to do whiskey with is a Waterford distillery.
Yeah.
This whiskey will be ready in 25 years' time.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. If no one has any questions in the chat, I think we'll finish it up here. I've wasted enough time. I think if Brendan's. I don't know if there's any questions. Do you have any more questions or?
Just reading Steve's here. Yeah, Beer Hut got around the outdated licensing laws and went down the selling food route. Bought an Uni pizza oven. I mean, that's just like clever, you know, just doing something. Thinking about what people, you know, adding to. You're not just a one-trick pony. Okay, you're making beers, but you're also selling pizzas that can be cooked extremely quickly.
Yeah.
And having these beer festival days, like mini beer festivals for each brewery, that kind of thing is really interesting to me. Well, it's not interesting. Like, it's just obvious. Like, it's obvious. Like, it's almost a little bit cliche now because, like, everywhere's doing pizzas, aren't they? Like, but if you do good pizza and beer, like, come on, that's a winner, absolute winner.
I have one more question now. Why do you think there's not more breweries from the Northern Ireland coming down south? Beer Hut is coming down now in the 330 ml cans.
Yeah, I tend to think it's just because of COVID getting in the way of a moment for Northern Ireland. I think Northern Ireland has like something like 20. I saw a map from, I think, Kieran Cunningham. Is it Kieran Cunningham? The guy that does that website with the map on it, the map of Ireland. I think there was something like 15 or 20 odd breweries, like ones that you don't even hear of up in Northern Ireland. And I think a lot of those beers will be making their way down to the bigger places like craftcentral.ie, Beer Cloud, the Beer Club, and they'll be more available after this pandemic is over and people are realizing where they are in the market. I mean, it just seems such an obvious thing. Like, you should be able to get absolutely everything. Bull House Beers, I think, is another one that's just about to be. I'm pretty sure I saw something on social media in the last couple of days about their beers. There's loads of breweries up north, and you can get their beers, but they're just not as easy to pick up. There will be, especially if breweries are knocking out what the likes of Lacada and the likes of Beer Hut Brewing, Mourne Mountains. Those people are just smashing it. Modest Beer, brilliant.
But you got to think it's got to be a cheaper market to get to the Republic than sending it across the water to the mainland or United Kingdom or.
I suppose, I don't know, but I'm supposing it's something to do with quantity.
Yeah.
If a big distributor from England brings beer over to Ireland, then they redistribute it out through the network of channels to different places. Whereas someone up north might have, should be easy, like you say. No, you're right, it should be easy. Could be something to do with logistics, numbers. Yeah.
I think we'll finish it there. Thanks for everyone who's watched and commented and liked and all that.
All 5 of them. What was the maximum amount of people we had? 6.
I think we had about 8 or 9 at once. I don't look at it. I should look at it, but I don't. I'm too scared. Okay, goodbye. We'll end it.
We're done, are we?